Hello, my name is Drew Podlewski, and welcome to this second video in our series on groundwater. In this video, we will examine the problem of how groundwater can become contaminated. Now, in the first video, we learned about the two different places where water comes from: surface water, which includes lakes, rivers, and streams, and groundwater, which is water held in the sand, gravel, and bedrock layers beneath our feet. Water itself also comes in two different forms: saline water and fresh water. Saline water is water that has lots of salt in it, like seawater. Fresh water is water that has little, if any, salt. Humans cannot drink salt water, so sources of fresh water are very important to us. However, sources of fresh water are also very rare. Only about 2.5% of all the water on Earth is fresh water, and much of that is locked away in the polar ice caps. We use fresh water for everything, from drinking, to bathing, to washing our clothes, watering the plants, and so on. Because we rely upon it for so much, and because we don't have very much of it, we have to work very hard to protect it, because if we're not careful, that water can become contaminated. Contamination means that the water now contains a chemical or bacteria that will make us sick if we drink it. There are many different types of contaminants that can affect groundwater, and many different ways that groundwater can become contaminated. We will talk about a few of them in this video. Now, sometimes contaminants just occur naturally in the water. The water may already have high levels of a certain chemical or already be infected with bacteria. Sometimes we can clean the water and make it safe, but other times we just have to leave that water alone. However, human activity can also pollute the water, and this is a big concern. Now, contaminants can include any kind of element or chemical. Some of these chemicals are highly poisonous, and others are carcinogens, which means they can cause cancer. However, not all chemicals or elements are equally bad. It is the specific type of chemical or element and the amount of it that makes a difference. Elements like mercury, arsenic, and especially lead are very harmful to us in small amounts, so we need to watch out for them very closely in our water. Other elements, though, like iron for instance, are much safer, and we even need a little iron in our diet to stay healthy, just not too much of it. Community water systems regularly test our drinking water to make sure that the levels of chemicals in our water do not go over the safety limits. We also look out for harmful bacteria in the water, especially one called E. coli. Bacteria cause diseases which make us sick, so it's very important that we look out for them. So how do we contaminate the groundwater to begin with? Some of the ways that we can contaminate groundwater include leaking underground fuel storage tanks, like they sometimes have at gas stations, fertilizers and pesticides on lawns and farms being washed away by the rain, industrial waste, failed septic tanks, and dumping chemicals like old oil-based paints or gasoline down the drains, which is not only bad, but against the law. Landfills are usually lined with a plastic tarp, which prevents contaminants from getting into the ground. But these plastic liners can sometimes tear and leak, causing contamination. Water that is clean enough for us to drink is called potable water. Unfortunately, most of the water that you'll find in nature is not potable. Even if we protect it from contamination, most natural water will still contain chemicals, elements, and bacteria. That's why you should never drink the water you find in a lake, stream, or pond. Fortunately, sometimes we can clean up that water and make it potable. Most of the water that you get in your sink or from the drinking fountain comes from a water treatment plant, which cleans the groundwater before it is sent out to you. These treatment plants filter out the dirt, minerals, elements, and chemicals contained in the groundwater, and use chlorine to get rid of the bacteria. We use chlorine in swimming pools for the same reason, to get rid of the bacteria in the water and make it safe for us to swim in. But you still should not drink swimming pool water. However, too many contaminants in the water can overwhelm the treatment plant, and not all contaminants can be filtered out, which is why we all need to work hard to protect our groundwater and keep it safe. So now you've learned about some of the different ways that groundwater can become contaminated. In the next video, we will look at some of the ways that we can protect that water and prevent it from becoming contaminated. So now let's think about some of the things that you've learned today. Why is drinking contaminated water bad for you? What kind of problems might it cause? And how would you know if your water is contaminated to begin with? Sometimes it would look or smell bad, but other times you would not be able to see what's in it. So how would you know? See you in the next video.